Thank you very much.
Are you feel proud to be conservatives tonight? First of all, on behalf of all of my caucus colleagues, let me thank all the delegates and volunteers who are here today, this weekend, and the grassroots conservatives across the country who you represent. Because those of you who have donated your time, your treasure, and your talent to this party, to this movement, are the real unsung heroes of our election victory. It's true. You,
the volunteers, the activists, the candidates, we owe you our historical victory.
Spoke about what we've achieved in this election. He called it an historic victory. He reminded us that the Party of Confederation, is once more and uncontestably Canada's party.
He reminded us that this party, the Party of Confederation, is Canada's party. We know that our party represents the best values and the highest aspirations of Canadians.
Represents the best values and the highest aspirations of Canadians. Enterprise and freedom, hard work and personal responsibility, family and community, and equality of opportunity for all. That became even more clear in this election. In growing numbers and in important new ways, the Conservative coalition is becoming broader and deeper. We grew our vote with women, and we have elected the largest number of women MPs in the history of our party. We can see that. We can see that right here in Manitoba, where nearly half of this province's caucus is made up of strong, principled, conservative women like Joy Smith, Candace Hepner, and of course, the fantastic Shelley Glover. And a message to our Liberal friends. These strong women didn't need quotas, set-asides, or appointments to get elected. They did it through their own hard work and tenacity. Now, the Prime Minister also followed through on our party's long tradition of advancing the role of women in Canadian public life by appointing the largest share of women ever to a federal cabinet, with energetic new ministers like Lisa Raitt, Lynn Yelich, and Gail Shea, and let's congratulate them. But friends, we also saw our support grow in urban Canada, from Quebec City to North Vancouver. And we demonstrated yet again that our party is the real voice of young Canadians. On a démontré à nouveau que nous sommes la voix des jeunes Canadiens et Canadiennes.
We demonstrated again that our party is the real voice of young Canadians.
Folks, while the Liberals tell young Canadians to go and make busy in the sandbox of youth politics, Conservatives welcome the energy and the idealism of young people right in the halls of power. That's exactly what the Prime Minister did when he appointed the 32-year-old James Moore as Minister of Canadian Heritage and the youngest MP in Parliament, Pierre Poilievre, as his own Parliamentary Secretary. Nous avons renforcé que nous sommes le Parti des francophones hors du Québec.
We have reinforced the fact that we are the party of the francophones outside Quebec, like in Glengarry, Prescott, Russell, Ottawa, Orleans, and Saint-Boniface. We have made historical gains in the north of Canada, in Nunavut, Kenora, Rainy River, in North Saskatchewan.
Members of our First Nations are seeing that the Conservative Party best represents their values and interests. Thanks to the hard work of Aboriginal Affairs Ministers Jim Prentice and Chuck Strahl, we've replaced cynical, let's give them a hand, absolutely. Thanks to their hard work, we've replaced the cynical, empty talk of the Liberals with real action to improve the lives of Canada's First Peoples. Perhaps that helps to explain why we're the first federal caucus ever to include an Aboriginal Canadian in Rob Clark, Métis Canadians like Shelley Glover and Rod Bernouge, and Canada's first Inuit Cabinet Minister, Leona Aguklak.
But of all these breakthroughs, perhaps the single most important, with the biggest long-term implications for Canadian democracy, was our historic breakthrough amongst new Canadians.
Most important, with the biggest long-term implications for Canadian democracy, was our historic breakthrough amongst new Canadians in this last election. Here is a truth that strikes panic into the heart of every Liberal. The Conservative Party is fast becoming the #1 choice amongst first and second generation Canadians. Friends, something real is happening here, something that is changing Canadian politics forever. In ridings with diverse populations, Conservative MPs were elected or returned in overwhelming numbers. In fact, our biggest increase in support in the last election was actually, and get this, the largest share of increase in support for the Conservative Party was in the most ethnically diverse constituencies in Canada. Let me give you some examples. In Richmond, a Vancouver suburb, my parliamentary secretary, the tenacious Alice Wong, defeated overwhelmingly a sitting Liberal MP and former cabinet minister. Now, nearly 70% of Alice's constituency is made up of immigrants to Canada, and nearly half of the riding is made up of Canadians of Chinese ancestry. And Alice won with nearly 50% of the vote. Now, right next door in Vancouver South, the energetic Wei Young came within 20 votes of taking down a former premier of that province. And the brilliant Yona Martin rallied the Korean community all throughout the lower mainland of BC to the Conservative cause, and she nearly won in New Westminster, Burnaby, and believe you me, she will win next time. Please do it again, Yona.